is 6:03 on July 16th, 2024. This is the regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Oneonta. Roll.
Mayor Drenick.
Here.
Councilmember Mosher Campbell.
Here.
Councilmember Walsh Russo. Councilmember McHugh. Here. Councilmember Lukari-Shu. Here. Councilmember Carson.
Here.
Councilmember Harrington.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Mapleton.
Here. If you'd all please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you much. And we're going to move right into our petitioners section. We have no public hearing, correct? And as we do these days, if you'd like to address the council, you can either stand in the place where you're currently seated or find yourself up at the podium. You've got 3 minutes-ish. I'll be flashing little reminders as to what time you have left, and appreciate it if you would let us know who you are and where you live. All right? And so with that, we open the floor to petitioners. Now, anybody who'd like to speak?
Steve?
Sure.
All right. I'm Corey Rowe, owner of Otsego Media and Doja. I came today just to read a quick letter. It's 2.5 minutes long, so it should go over the 3 minutes. I appreciate everybody's time. I'm just trying to do my due diligence. Good afternoon, and thank you all for your time. As several of you are undoubtedly aware, I have picked up the task of communicating for a group of local business owners and residents that have been meeting in private to discuss problems they are facing. These individuals, who include myself, feel dismayed at a lack of response from the city departments for issues that seem to be rather easy to fix. The main subjects include petty crime, the homeless population, traffic, trash, parking, and the deterioration of Main Street surrounding areas. And these topics affect these individuals, declining their businesses and their quality of life. Several businesses have left Main Street recently with more to follow if these issues are not addressed. We must fight to keep every business on Main Street, in my opinion. I am, and they are aware of your steering committee, your common council meetings, your calendar events, the downtown renaissance, and the like. However, there is a drastic disconnect in your communication to what is being done now and when results can be expected. Main Street and its business owners, the residents, and even the tourists deserve better from this city on these topics, and they deserve them now. Waiting for 6 months once the committees have had multiple meetings and handed in the reports will only result in more businesses leaving Main Street and residents leaving Oneonta. A single actionable item exists that would start to move the conversation in the right direction, but it is being met with extreme scorn from those who have to do the work. Foot patrols by the Oneonta City police officers is being requested by everyone that I've spoken with. We agree that it is the first ask we shall make of the people in this room to get the city moving back in the direction we all want to see. The Oneonta Police Department is the department of the city and is run by the people in this room. Only you have the authority to command the department to change their methodology from one of responding to calls to one of preemptive action. We are asking for what we think is simple and costs no additional funds. As simply put as possible, we are asking for the people in this room for 2 one-hour foot patrols a day. That's it. We just want the cops to walk up Main Street and down Main Street twice a day. Once in the morning, once in the evening. Foot and bicycle patrols are something we can all remember, but for some reason it no longer happens. We are sure that the excuses include staffing shortages, budget issues, and a general lack of interest from police since bail reform. But I ask you to accept none of these and see them for what they are. They are excuses. The top brass in our department, top 5 people, make well over 6 figures. If it's a budget issue, then rework it. If it's staffing is the issue, then rework it. If you're waiting for retirement, then go. But at the end of the day, the police work for us, for the people in this room. And if they're not doing what the city is asking, which I've heard people have asked for them to do these foot patrols, then what are we even doing in this room? It should also be mentioned that since I started to speak out publicly about the desire to have foot patrols, the chief of police has began to attack me personally to anyone that will listen. He calls me a criminal and a conspiracy theorist, of which I am neither. He is quietly talking about trying to get the parking spots in front of my business removed, just to hurt me, despite their value to the community. This is a mentality I'm fighting. I am simply asking for police to walk down Main Street twice a day. So tomorrow, as requested by the people that I've spoken with, Greg Mattice and the mayor, I'm going to have your constituents reach out to you personally, asking you to have these 2 foot patrols start on Main Street twice a day. Furthermore, after that, I'll be holding a citizens town hall to redo the one that we tried to do a few months ago that didn't go very well. I'm going to invite people to come and have a conversation and bucket the issues and try to come up with potential solutions. People are pissed. We all know that. And the number one way to move the conversation in the right direction is simple for patrol fire police who are paid to do exactly that. I don't think it's too much to ask.
Thank you. Thank you, Gordon. Do we anybody else would like to speak? Right, then we will close the petitioners section of the meeting, and we will move on to one of my absolute favorite things, which is a presentation to at least one person in the room and another who is not here with us at the moment, but an employee service recognition. And start with those folks who watched me these last 2.5 years know I love to write stuff. You know, I love flowery prose and I love delivering that. What I have in front of me was written by your peers, which I feel like has more value than something that I might have put together. So I'm gonna provide that as I first honor Dave Burnett, not with us at the moment, who retired. Oh, he just walked in. Right there. Perfect time, Dave. Retired as assistant to the general supervisor in DPW, having served 23+ years. Dave was always very well liked and respected among his coworkers, always got to meetings just on time, always willing to take on whatever role was needed for the good of the department. Dave spent time working with the streets crew and the parks crew, and also played a key role in winter snow and ice control operations. Dave's calm and consistent contributions to DPW were of great value, and Dave, you will be missed. So. Don't go anywhere yet, okay? Because we have Scott Berger here. And Scott, as a part-time senior wastewater treatment plant operator in DPW, has served, put you to shame here, Dave, 36+ years. Previously retired from full-time position in the same title, continued part-time. Scott assisted with many changes at the plant over his career. He reached and maintained senior operator status for many years and trained and mentored and guided many new operators, including current Chief Operator Chris Pellegra. Scott has always been a quiet leader, and his plant knowledge was, and maybe still is, second to none. And I have a little something for you guys. Nick Carson, you are even better. So Dave, this again.
You already have
Even
that.
better. Dave, in grateful recognition of your many years of dedicated service to the city of Oneonta, its residents and its visitors, July 16, 2024. And we're going to turn to Kerry, who's going to take a photo of you with this. And you don't go too far, okay? And Scott. In grateful recognition of your many years of dedicated service to the city of Oneonta, its residents, and its visitors, July 16. You toward. And I want you both to come on up. And this is one for the dark ones. Thank you, guys.
Brett was just an intern.
Scott?
Well, the best thing about working here was all the employees I worked with. Exactly.
Thank you.
And that's it. We're done. We'll go home. What else do we have? We have the Local Historic District Landmarks and Historic Preservation Commission, and a presentation by the same with the chair. Bill, there you are.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Flannel. I'm resident of the 6th Ward here in the city, and I'm also chairperson of the Landmarks and Historic Preservation Commission. The commission is made up of city residents that are subject matter experts in real estate, architecture, restoration techniques, and local history. A city the size of Oneonta should be grateful to have a commission made up of such experts. To the level of expertise that they are, also the dedication that they show in what they are on a commission for. As you know, we are fulfilling our duty as set forth in the Historic Preservation Ordinance by proposing specific districts and landmarks to promote cultural, economic, and general welfare for the public. These landmarks and districts have already been identified by a Historic Preservation Survey for the National Register to be significant to the heritage of the city of Oneonta, and so we feel that it is important that that they are conserved by our commission. Tonight we have been asked to give a briefing on the benefits of historic preservation. Some of my colleagues will speak about specifics, but generally I want to say that this process that our commission is charged with is a well-established process that has been proven to be beneficial throughout the state of New York and the country. Owning old houses is expensive. All of those houses on Walnut Street are very expensive to maintain, to restore. Up and down Main Street, a number of commercial properties have been given tax credits through various grants and other processes. We are asking that we establish a district not only in Main Street, but also on Walnut Street and some other individual properties to share those tax credits with individuals, owners of private residences. Please remember that not only does it benefit the owners of those properties, but it benefits everyone. By walking up and down Walnut Street, you can see the benefits of the cultural heritage of our community. So with that, I'll pass it on to Dara.
I'm your only colleague.
Only, sorry.
We've had a number of,
Schedule changes.
yes, some people are, this got moved to tonight, some people were already on their vacations out of town, some people got sick, so it's just me and Bill tonight, out of, we should have like 6, and we have 5 right now, is that right? Anyway, my name is Dara Brady, I'm a resident of the city, I live up on Woodside, so I'm not in a historic district, not even in a historic house, it's the youngest house I've ever lived in. I grew up in an 1850s brownstone in New York, which was in a historic district. I then moved to another historic district in Baltimore. I moved to 92, 6-bedroom Victorian, and that locally landmark district absolutely was critical to protecting that neighborhood and making sure that they didn't try to run a highway through it, and that people got the benefit of tax credits. But anyway, I was just going to talk a little bit. I'm going to try to fill in for some of our colleagues that aren't here. I'm not going to be able to fill in for the historian. Helen is not here. And she and Bob is the other at sanitation, who's also a very knowledgeable historian. And I've only been in Oneonta living here for 40 years, so I'm not that knowledgeable. However, I've been in the area since 1980, as we owned the property in Walton, Delaware County, since then. And Oneonta was our big town to come to, so we wanted to retire. So So we are, and I love it, it's a great town, it's fun being in a small town as opposed to New York City. Anyway, historic preservation is a really broad term, it can mean a lot of different things, but it includes the hands-on work of maintaining and restoring old properties, creating and implementing policies, which is sort of what we'll be doing, to help people conserve and revitalize those properties, helping to do research and identifying and recognizing places that are historic and should be preserved for the future, and using existing properties to fill the need for affordable housing, cultural things like the Oneonta Theater would be really wonderful to get that restored, and helping people find out about the tax credits and all the things that they can use to help them do their projects. Because the tax credits can be very significant, up to 25% of the cost of the project, and that can take a big chunk out of it. The other reason it's so important to preserve this, our fabric, is because it's what makes Oneonta. And there's so often the feeling of residing across America that it's all becoming the same. I mean, you could be like New Jersey slower, and you're in Illinois. And it's like, how did this happen? And the great thing about Oneonta is that we actually held on to our main street. And yes, you have to go south side to go to Michael's or the theater, but that separation has helped to preserve this really wonderful main street. And people care about that. They care about the fact that they come from a community that has a real sense of history. It used to be someplace. And it's actually been identified by the New York Preservation League as one of the Main Street has been identified as one of the 7 to save because so many main streets have just gone to hell and go. At any rate, the other great benefit of historic districts is the fact that they actually really help them maintain their economic value. In fact, not just maintain, but increase it. And I was going to do a slide, but apparently PowerPoint's not working. So if you all got this in your packet, there's about a 10-page packet in there. But this is from the Saratoga, New York. They did a whole environmental impact statement thing where they looked at the benefit of historic districts in Saratoga. And this first one is just sort of the average price of houses. And the green is historic neighborhoods, and the beige is non-historic neighborhoods. And then sort of more importantly is the cost per square foot. And again, the green is in historic neighborhoods versus the beige and non-historic neighborhoods. So what that really says is that across the board, and this has been shown in multiple studies across the whole country, that historic preservation makes sense both economically, both for the residents and for the community in which these places reside. They can become tourist attractions, as we all know. What else? Oh, tax credits. So the woman who's going to do that whole presentation is sick tonight, but and she works for SHPO, and so it's pretty knowledgeable. We're presenting a workshop in a week. The flyer is in your handout by Christina Vajvolji, who manages a historic homeowner tax credit program at SHPO, and she'll be providing an informational webinar which anybody can log on to. You don't have to drive anywhere, you just watch it at home on your laptop. And we'll discuss the tax credits and how to do it. And we'll all get more knowledgeable about how to help people figure that stuff out. And that's one of our jobs, is to become the assisters for that function. And just in case you didn't know, many of the projects that have just been completed on Main Street have made themselves available of these significant tax credits. And it wouldn't have been economically viable without them, like the Ford project. That all happened because they got significant historic tax credits. So there's some real benefit to it. And we're not going to tell anybody they can't make their house puce or purple or chartreuse if they want to. That color has you're blind to color because it's easily rectified by the next person who buys the house who doesn't want a chartreuse house. But what we will do is help people maintain the quality of their residence and work through issues of it.
I believe that all of the developments on Main Street have taken benefit of tax credits and grants through some of the historic preservation. So that it's
There's also a wee bit of climate sustainability issue, which is the best house you build is the one you don't build, which you reuse and pass on. Or Ford Rock, which has been turned into housing for people. Now that's a tremendous reuse of existing structures. Any questions?
I don't understand tax credits. How do you get them in, what, do they come from the state?
They come from a number of places, federal, state, and even local. Although I'm not as well versed in the tax credits here in New York State as I was in Baltimore, where we have federal, state, and local. In Baltimore, for residential properties, you really only got state and local, but that could add up to 35% between the two of them.
So that means you would pay 35% less in property taxes.
No, they would often be actually a straight credit. Oh, well, yes, you're right. It would be less in property taxes or less on your state income. You would get it as straight off your state-owned taxes for the year.
So how does that benefit Oneonta? You would get less money.
No, it's not that it's coming out of the taxes to Oneonta, it's coming out of your state. You pay taxes to New York State, so it's coming out of, that credit comes right on
Well,
the
you said it
taxes
could
that
be
you pay.
local. I mean, I'm asking.
I'm not sure about I don't know enough about the
Does that
road.
mean they'll get less tax money?
I don't know about that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
So if the city was to approve this, does that mean we will collect less in local property taxes?
No, I don't believe so. I think it has to do with the value of the project that you're proposing on your property.
I think what might be, I remember, the code enforcement, Steve, saying that what could happen is that you, say you did a big improvement that was net on a historic property, you would get a freeze on your local taxes, property taxes for something like 7 years. So you wouldn't get hit with an increase on your taxes because you improved your house. If it was on historic standards.
Yeah, so that was a bill that was passed in previous councils. It was sunset.
Right.
I tried to revitalize that in the last council, I'm gonna try and revitalize that in this
So it's
council.
not, it's not.
So it's not in place.
Okay. So
As far as the local goes.
As far as the local goes.
But as far as state and federal money, it's based on your project that you're proposing, whatever that might be. And you get a tax credit on the value of that project. And how it benefits Oneonta is that you're gonna have Walnut Street or any other individual landmark that has the ability to not just restore or not just maintain a property to the bottom dollar. That potentially the owner with these tax credits now has money to invest in their property to bring up to a higher standard. If that makes any sense.
My only concern is I don't want to see the city get shortchanged.
No, I don't feel that it's shortchanging the city per se, from a dollar standpoint.
Well, if you get a tax reduction for 7 years, it turns out.
Yes, please, Jim.
The tax credits that the residents will be receiving, the homeowners will be receiving, will affect their state and federal income tax returns. So if they invest $500,000 in a year and they get a 10% tax credit, then they'll get a $50,000 tax credit right on their tax return. If the council decides to adopt a local, what it will do is it will take the value of that improvement and freeze it for the 7-year period. We will not lose money, and it will be adjusted on that homeowner's tax bill itself as how it gets distributed through. But what it will do, it will incentivize the homeowner to make improvements into the property, knowing that the taxes will be held for 7 years for that value, just the value of the improvement. And then they will also get the tax credits on their state and federal tax return.
Thank you.
But than the cemetery
That
myself.
was much more fluid than
Just a little bit further, so I had a few people message me about that. So there isn't any funding provided up front. There's no support for that, it's only in tax credits. Because I had a few people say they can't afford to do improvements there.
And it's expensive, like I said, it's very expensive.
So if you're placed on this registry,
Well,
and you can't afford to be on the historical registry, because you can't afford to do the upgrade, what happens?
There's no requirement.
there's no required upgrades. The two things. One is, there's a demolition by neglect standard, where if you just let the property go completely to hell in a handbasket, and there's already one of those on the books, by the way. Then there is some ability for the city to step in and try to prevent the demolition by neglect. But my experience with those are really taken a long time and not totally effective. And then we're not going to be forcing anybody to do anything, but if they plan to do something to the exterior facade of their house that is visible from the right of way, then they must come to our commission and present the project. We'll help them with it as best we can, find the best methods, and there are lots of new materials out there that can work and go on final side, but work well and are more effective in the long term anyway. So they were going to do the project anyway, and we'll help them make it be as economically feasible as possible. And get tax credits to do that.
and just for a little clarity, the National Registry, all these properties that we are proposing in districts are already on the National Registry. With the exception.
No exception, some of
Yeah,
them
no
are
exception.
eligible, some of them are eligible and aren't on there yet, but,
What is the eligibility, like, so for one of the properties in my ward, it was just old, like, apartments, and now it's like commercial / apartments, and they were very curious as to why that would be considered historical.
if it's the place I'm thinking of, are you over, to Ward 7?
No, I'm sorry.
There was a couple of projects that got, help from the state historic survey and,
Without knowing what property,
Yeah.
it's hard to tell, but, if it's apartments now, it can stay apartments, you know,
It's like half commercial, half apartment.
And that's not a problem.
Yeah.
We're not, and we don't have anything to do with use. We don't touch use, that's zoning. So we are strictly exterior, upgrades to those properties that are in the local historic.
what
districts.
street?
It's Main Street.
Is it right by the post office?
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard about that.
Oh, yes, the one behind AutoZone?
Not behind on it. It's like,
It's sort of right back by the post office.
it's the post office is here across the street.
It's got some back, and I don't know if the current owners had anything to do with this or not, but, it got some kind of benefits from the State Historic Preservation Office, which is why it's either eligible or on the, I think it's eligible, I don't know if it is nationally anymore. It's just eligible.
Just because I think it, for them, they're like, oh, it's a new build, why am I even on historical?
I think it's just eligible, and that just means that the state did all the survey work, and they must have found something historic.
So the state is who found them.
Yeah, not us. We haven't been around long.
Further questions?
Earlier you said that you're colorblind or something of that nature, but, and then you just mentioned newer building materials. What is the panel's thoughts on solar panels? Primarily roofing solar panels. I'm just gonna throw these out so that when you're doing your educational aspect of it, because I did make it through your FAQs, you clearly state that you're not for vinyl siding, but what about metal siding, metal roofing?
Well,
These are building materials.
when we say vinyl siding, it's typically the traditional vinyl siding. There's a lot of new products out there that are PVC siding, that are, they're like a composite vinyl PVC. So we're not material police necessarily. if it's aesthetically correct, generally we'll accept it. But also one of the standards is it a temporary in a way? Like for instance, paint is considered temporary, right? In that the color will change in the next 10 years. I don't know if solar panels fall into that category as a temporary installation. In other words, if the house is sold and the new owner doesn't want solar panels, they can take them off. I'm not exactly sure about that. The other thing is I can't really speak for the whole commission. It's a vote process, right? So
This type of information out in the general public would be very helpful. I think
that's a
kind of
great
the
question.
stigma-
I don't
The
have an
stigma
answer
that you
to
guys are having right now is that people don't know what type of building materials are or are not gonna be accepted. I mean, you're basically an architectural review committee,
Yeah.
right, for an HOA, if it's a historical.
Well, we're not a homeowners association.
But this is historical, you're trying to capture a certain group of structures, physical structures in an area and preserve it. And so you're trying to maintain that preservation through your guidance.
Yeah.
You just said
Exactly.
we
I
should be
couldn't have said
thankful
it
that we
better.
have you, but that's basically the engagement that you're getting. So if
Yeah,
you
I mean, when
did
you
more
imply
education-
that it's a homeowners association, I think that takes it to a whole nother level of, we want grass maintained, we want the interior of your house, and fencing, and all of this and all of that. We are an architectural review board, I'll definitely stand by that.
So what I'm just saying is for your educational purposes, if you
And
get this
we
information.
we're gonna, that's one of our big things to get going and start getting on more on the FAQs and materials. But part of it is gonna be the education process for us as well. But for example, there are solar shingles that they actually, Tesla is planning on making these really shingles.
That's why I think.
And I think those would have to, every project we review on a case-by-case basis is, and if we need guidance, we'll go out to SHPO. And the only thing that might, if say we find that the shingles are appropriate as far as aesthetics, but for whatever reason, they don't fall into the tax credit, we might not get tax credits for those shingles, but we wouldn't necessarily say we can't do that. It's sort of, it's that kind of thing, we'll just have to figure that out as we go.
And it's also difficult to say, well, this material is in, this material is out, or this technology is in, technology is out, because it changes so much from, like for example, it may not be a solar panel in 10 years, it may be solar shingles. So it changes so much and so fast that it's difficult to really say with a definitive line one way or the other.
Yeah, but back to what you just said, Bill, if it's aesthetically the same, then what's the difference? So
Exactly.
that's why I'm just trying to help you guys out a little bit. I'm not trying to get down in your weeds, I'm just saying that educationally, if you explain to people that it doesn't matter that it might be a composite material, it's okay, it might be metal, it's okay, it might be a solar, it's okay. That's all I'm trying to say.
And we have tried to do more public education. It's always, like you've seen tonight, it's difficult to get everybody together and plan things. However, we really do want everybody to take part in the webinar that's interested in it. It's very informative. It will explain in more detail how to get tax credits and that whole process. So that's one of the things that we've done for public engagement.
No, I was just gonna, like, in line with them, like, we are trying to be really conscious of our footprint and environmental footprint sitting out. And so I think as you're presenting, just keeping in mind that there's people who are really forward about that.
I do think that we would have no problem approving probably solar panels on the conservation roads, the right thing to do. I got on one house. You just might not be able to get tax credits to do the solar.
Right.
That's,
Okay.
and that may change because the whole Department of Preservation realizes the things, and then they changed to welcome these composite materials that look like property but aren't cedar, and they paint last for 50 years without rotting. So they recognize that there's materials out there.
Anything else
Yes.
I was just hoping that you could walk us through kind of the goal of the project in terms of historic designation. So right now you have the Walnut Street Historic District and certain properties, certain additional properties. Is the goal to move forward with additional designations, like local designations, and can you kind of walk us through like what we can expect in the future?
In the ordinance, it states that an owner of a property can propose that their property is included in our purview. So there is a process for that. For example, if you don't live on Walnut Street, but you live one house over, and it's considered a historic property, or we would review that as a commission and determine whether it's acceptable or not acceptable.
Study the boundary. And our intent is, we started with the National Register districts, because they are nationally recognized, not just historically worthwhile. So that seemed like the easiest thing to fight off as a brand new commission. We pick stuff that's already on the National Register. And those things that are already been designated as eligible. But we fully intend to, as we have the time and effort and people bring them to our attention, to adding things to districts. Because that's got a lot of wonderful historic areas.
Yeah, by no means is this a complete district or list, if you will. But we just felt that because it's already identified as culturally significant, that these are the places to start with. And so from there, it would just be, if the owners want to be part of it, they apply for it.
One thing I'd like to point out to you in your packet, 2 of the 10 pages you really don't have to read. They're really there just to impress you. And they are the number of what are called certified local governments. Those are the 2 pages. These are all communities across New York State. These are all in New York State. Some of them are really small, some of them are Canada High, some of them are Colesville, that have gotten themselves, as we have here in Illinois, become certified local government to do historic preservation. So it's recognized. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're a little late to the game in some ways, but all these other places have seen the value of doing this.
I have one other thing. I briefly lived in Malta, and I know that you said that you're not concerned with paint colors, but the town, it's a board, I guess, of Malta, their government, their municipality had identified paint colors of historic significance, so like things that you might see on houses back in the day. And I just thought that was so interesting, and as someone who needs to paint my house, it would be really cool to be able to.
Was it a recommendation? So like this palette of colors is what we would recommend?
Yeah. They basically said, these are what we would imagine, or based on local record, that you could expect to see,
That's a great
historically. And I just thought it was so cool to see then, and I didn't even own a home at that time. And
that is
now,
another aspect of our commission is as a resource for owners of properties.
Yeah.
To come to us and say, hey, is this accurate?
Yeah.
So 1890, would they have painted the tree this color, or the barge boards this color?
Yeah, and it's cool for it to not be like an enforcement thing, but to be like a resource.
Yeah,
like you said.
absolutely.
So I think that would be
We'd
really
love
cool.
to do that.
Cool.
We just don't want to tell people you have to paint it
Yeah.
this color.
That's good. I think that's appreciated.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks.
Dara, thank you very much, and thanks to all those members of the commission that weren't here, but are maybe watching. And we'll move on now to our committee reports. I don't believe there's a board commission or task force that sought to bring anything forward. So we'll move on to Community Wellness Committee, and Katie, please.
Cool. We met on the 3rd of July. We had a special guest, which was Jennifer Hill from Tobacco Free Communities. Jennifer and I have been talking about the proliferation of smoke shops in our area, as well as what we can do to encourage cleaner air within our community. And so, Elaine and Jennifer and I had a really great conversation about things that we might be able to do as a council in order to promote cleaner air, specifically downtown and for our community's kids. So the Community Wellness Committee is going to continue to work on possibly some legislation to bring to the legislative committee to be discussed. That may be a very high level overview of that, but that was basically it. And then we also had kind of some information from Councilmember Moser Campoli about Otsego SAFE, which stands for Suicide Awareness for Everyone. And this is a relatively new group of people who are meeting mostly around suicide awareness in Otsego County. And we heard some startling statistics. And we're just kind of excited to have a connection to that group and to continue to learn more about that. And then also I forget the name of the organization, but the Hate and Bias Reporting Tool, which is very cool. And we talked about that specifically around housing and its importance there. And we all have homework, and I think that's it.
Okay, terrific. Questions, anyone? I want to just add to one of the things the Community Wellness Committee had asked me to connect with the college presidents about. I had breakfast with Dr. Carnegie, this was last week, and pulled one of my agendas, I keep agendas for everything. So I had an agenda for a meeting where we went through that list of the needs for a volunteer database that was a website that was filterable, and so that's kind of back on his agenda now.
Oh,
So
great,
we'll see.
yeah, because we had talked about building that out, having someone at the campus be able to build that out.
Yeah, so just a little bit of homework.
Great,
to make.
thank you.
Thank you. So moving on now to legislative committee report. And Glenn?
We met July 8th and continued working on the fee schedule, film permits, and we started the neighborhood markets and they were on our Tuesday. And we listened to 7 or 8 concerned citizens, give their thoughts and concerns about neighborhood markets. We also listened to city staff and Steve Gurley. Communicate what the draft code is right now, and we're just working our way through them. I think all 3 of us have some homework to get it. And we meet next Tuesday, 22nd. I think we're all good there.
Yep.
My calendar.
Anything from the council? Okay, thank you very much, Lynn. And Scott, I'm going to ask you if you would to step in for the chair. Cecilia is not with us tonight, but I know the Finance and Human Resources Committee met, obviously, and it forms a lot of our agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Stumbled my best through this for you. We met on Thursday, July 11th, as myself and the chair, Cecilia Rushford. So we're also joined in the audience by 2 other council members, which is nice to see. Which was Councilmember Price, great to see it. So first thing that we talked about was the funding proposal grant that the Future for Long Island Foundation would like to do. They have some money that's earmarked for, and only for River Park pool as we use that. We thought that the kiddie pool doesn't get a lot of use, so they're trying to see if they can come up with a way to incentivize, get more foot traffic into our pool that we pay for. They have this opportunity to put in for a green. They already have a grant writer hired. And we just wanted our blessing to be able to do that. Person questions back and forth, about that, and as right now, there's no funding from any on for this, it's, coming from the city. I guess I was quoted in the paper saying it's, kind of thing, we get something free, so. And I still kind of feel that way. So that was a big conversation we had back and forth. It's, in our community developed, Amy was in the audience and she didn't have any objections to it. Just a couple of helpful comments for them. Then we went on to funding for the Lower Park lifeguard incentive. This I believe is coming through the county. If I stumble, great, please feel free to jump in. It's coming from the county to help incentivize us keeping our lifeguards because we always train them. And as Frank pointed out, YMCA trains them and then they lose them because everybody else wants them, so they get paid more money. So this will help hopefully keep the staff that we have because we tend to have younger staff. And this will be helping give them pretty much a raise. We thought that was a good idea. I stepped back. I didn't vote one way or the other on that. We passed that up because I think that might be a conflict because my daughter works for the law as a lifeguard. So I leave that up to the attorney to advise me otherwise, but I think I'm in conflict for that. So when that comes up,
If it doesn't have anything to do with your income, it does not, you don't have conflict.
okay. I think
But thanks for asking.
Yes.
I would appreciate it.
So I think it's a well-worked program. Had an attorney was there, I would have worked. Absolutely.
So, I did have a question on this one. Is this funded solely by the county? Or is this a state program that we just found out it's focused through the county?
So the way I remember it is they have to put in, the county gets the money from the state and the county, we're one of the couple pools that are eligible to meet the requirements.
Is this a new program by the state? Because Frank has, he's been very proactive trying to go and get funding from the district for many years. I just think this is great, that we kind of have some financial assistance.
I believe this new is,
Yeah, it's part of the NY Swims program, statewide investment in more swimming.
and we have an appointment to the Public Arts Commission, which I believe is former council member Emily Falco, who, I guess just couldn't stay away from us, so she's gone to come back. We had our staff appointment with a maintenance worker. Drawing the Chris, this is roads, right? What's that?
For street.
Streets, for our streets, now bring us up to full staff on the streets.
Yes.
With the hiring worker, we also have a staffing review of the fire department. And we're trying to be a little proactive here because we have somebody that's been out for a long time. And we have an opportunity to hire somebody to start the academy at Utica to get it trained, in anticipation of a possible vacancy coming up. Kind of like we have done in the past with the police department. We thought that's a good place good thing to do is to try to get the person up and start getting trained because it does take a while to keep them trained so they're not ready for service. Lead water service inspection and inventory service was this was a bid from our purchasing. Said to do accept the bid, and this is it's a private company that's going to scope out the lead services for the private homeowner.
They're going to do the
Yes, the inventory.
Not just for private, but for city.
Oh, for the whole city.
The whole service that we don't know.
Okay.
Scott, I have a question.
Yes.
So it's $935,000, is that a grant of some sort? Or is that our money?
No, that's right.
It's a grant?
The same as, I believe, we have the pavement condition assessment. It's going to be a company that's going to come in, they're going to drive our streets, try to help us prioritize our streets on which should come first. I'll also hopefully put it in an inventory bank, so residents have question on the streets where as big as I thought they'd be, there's a basically growing resource priority. We also understand that it's not the top and the only reason to do a street or not do a street, also depends on some other circumstances that might come up as a city. Maybe it's also going to help our DPW staff, and how we things can help us in the budget and stuff like that as well.
I have a question for the $12,100 per year for 3 years, is that local money or?
It's already budgeted. First year already budgeted, and then we have to budget for next year.
Thank you.
Not bad, not really good. Our contract for HVAC maintenance, this one, I know part of it is in the armory. I believe it's the whole city they do
Yeah, essentially all of our HVAC equipment, we have every now and then we do a contract, usually this is for 3 years, I believe. 3-year maintenance contract, so regular quarterly or annual maintenance, not major repairs or replacements, but just maintaining the equipment, various buildings.
Financially, periodically do some finances. Drawing a blank, Jimmy.
That's because I didn't do the report, I wasn't ready to do it.
That's why I'm drawing a blank. We didn't have time for the report, so. And then just the budget preparation for 2025 is just starting to get underway, and for all of us that haven't done our homework yet, which I'm guilty of, but let's start to do our strategic plan with the budget coming up for what they think.
What the consensus and stuff.
I think I got it all.
For somebody who didn't take notes, that's pretty good.
I'm very impressed.
Anybody have anything else for Scott? Thank you very much, Scott. Appreciate it. And now moving on to the approval of warrants. Motion that the common council approves the warrants totaling $666,078.59. And that the same be placed on the Director of Finance's desk for payment as presented. Do I have a motion to approve? Don?
Councilmember Moser Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Matthew.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFresia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Henry.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy.
Yes. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Katie followed by Don.
Councilmember Moser Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Matthew.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFresia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Henry.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Michelson.
Yes. And I do just want to, just a shout out to Robert Wheeler. Congratulations on joining the staff. Our consent agenda, and Emily Falco. Just say that from tomorrow, all of our Big Belly cans, tomorrow president. Is that what I heard? Yes. Better cooperating. We'll be looking at art on all the Big Belly cans that were wonderful art as designed by the Oneonta High School students. And it's extremely impressive stuff, and it's going to end up making a huge difference for our streetscape. So that was Emily's project. And so congratulations and welcome back, Emily. And so we'll now move on to our city administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. 2023 financial audit is ongoing. Jim's working hard with our auditors on that. About 50% done. Thus far, no concerns have been identified. Firefighters Kyle Corey and Nick Collins were among the 30-plus graduates from the Utica Fire Academy just a couple weeks ago. Kyle finished at the top of the class out of 30-plus members. Kyle also came to us already with his paramedic certificate, so he's a fully trained, initial fully training is now complete. He's joined Captain Tubia's crew. Nick will attend the SUNY Oneonta courses this fall to obtain his EMT certificate. In the meantime, he's joined Captain Sweeney's crew. So that brings us to just about full staffing in the fire department, which is great. DPW's been replacing deteriorated catch basins on River Street. You may have noticed between Parish Ave and Bridge Ave, that's a section of the street that hasn't been reconstructed. We're picking away at miscellaneous infrastructure repairs and replacements that need to be done in advance of a future paving project for that section of the street. Not this year, though. That paving would potentially happen next year with budget permitting. Job Corps Cement Masons, for the first time since pre-pandemic, have enough students available, and their instructors reached out to DPW to do some more work in conjunction with DPW. They're going to look to do that starting in late August, working into the fall. Chris has identified a number of miscellaneous, smaller sections that need to be done across the city. So that'll be great to see them out there working and helping us out again. That's where they do the essentially on-the-job training. They're providing the labor, we purchase the materials, DPW helps out with some of the excavation, I believe, and we're able to get more for our money with also providing a good training opportunity for job personnel. This is a program that the city's done for a long time. It's good to have it back. DPW is also installing some new fire hydrants around town, dead-end water mains, so streets such as Baker Street and Hill Place where there's just a water blow-off, we're working on installing a hydrant, which will make that a little bit easier to maintain those sections of our water system. Hazardous tree removal list is being developed for bidding for work to be done this fall. Market Street reconstruction project is ongoing. It's a little bit behind. We've had some there's a lot of coordination going on with 3 utilities, United States, Spectrum, and Verizon, all working in conjunction in parallel with upstate companies to replace some privately owned utilities. We've also encountered some abandoned asbestos pipes that take a little bit more effort and time to deal with and work around and remove in some cases. So we're tracking a little bit behind. It's unlikely they'll be meeting the target completion date of the end of August, but we'll be updating you as we go as the schedule becomes more clear. That was all I had, other than I did want to just touch base and confirm if our strategic planning special council meeting is going to be settled as July 23rd or the 30th or 31st. I think we had a poll that went out. We got some responses.
So we have 4. You said the 23rd. Did you raise your hand actually for my benefit? So that's 3 and then Cecilia.
I forgot to, but I can.
You can, so we're at 5. Scott.
I think those 3 dates are open 3 days, so I can really put it in because I don't remember.
That's it. Morning or yeah. And okay, good. So it's 23rd is.
What time?
6 p.m. We'll start with the wrap up essentially of our strategic planning, and then we'll move into Jimmy's presentation.
6 p.m.
Budget and then a one-on-one for some folks. Glad that you're here. And so then this is that. And then there was that homework as well about the communications, if you don't mind jumping onto that. We were going to look to see if we could get together potentially in August, maybe mid to late, for something that would be off-site, but still a public meeting. And it would probably be something that might run 4 or 5 hours. I negotiate with the foothills or the colleges or something for a nice place to spend the time. But I don't know that, has anyone gotten that? Good. So if you could just, I guess, take a look at your calendars, any dates that work.
Any dates?
Any
We're
dates.
just throwing all our dates at you?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Wait, this is
I'm
for
gonna
5
switch my
hours.
calendar.
Yeah, figure 4 or 5 hours. And it could be a Saturday, it could be, whatever.
I can't possibly, okay, I'm gonna be fine. Okay.
But you'll get with Carrie.
What is this one?
It's a follow-up on communication strategy that was begun.
Did we get an email on this?
Yeah, and if we're gonna have a special. You answered me, you're good.
Is it, in August?
It could,
Okay,
it could be. And
like
it-
late July, early August.
August.
August realistically.
Yes, we're already, so deep into July.
Right.
Overall, what is our hopes for the case?
That we have, I think, just my opinion, is that we all have a clear idea of the communication
we're gonna put it down on paper.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
How is it different from the last communication?
We got to a point, but not, I don't think it was fully realized. I wouldn't think that anybody was intense, but that was fully realized. Yeah, it got us started. And it was, and I think everybody received that email. If not, I can resend it. And there was a good foundation built, but we need to kind of build the house on top of that foundation.
We're bringing a facilitator back.
No, I think, unless, no, we weren't planning on it, unless the council feels like there's a need for a facilitator, we might just, have the conversation. But again, I think we're all open to suggestions.
Two facilities that are very convenient to me and Dawn are the Excel Center might be cool. Or I know that the intention of some of the conference rooms at the Lofts on Deeds was to host meetings. Perhaps we could gather there.
Yeah, potentially. They're not really set up with audio, video, audio, visual. You'd like to think that they are, but they're not yet.
What do you mean?
Like they don't have a screen or a whiteboard.
Gotcha. Okay, I didn't realize that
But
was,
the
like,
Excel
necessary, but-
centers are really good at it. Sure. Right, anyway, let's say that covers the mayor's remarks as well. And we'll move on to the discussion agenda. And Dave, I'm gonna take motion 11, but I'm gonna hand motion 12 to you if I could. That work for you? All right, so motion 11, that the common council approves the following resolution. Seek a resolution declaring lead agency. Whereas the City of Oneonta Common Council, hereinafter referred to as the Common Council, has reviewed the New York State Environmental Quality Review, SEQR, Short Environmental Assessment Form, SEAF, Part 1, prepared by the City of Oneonta Deer Management Coordinator for the above referenced City of Oneonta Deer Management Program, hereafter referred to as action. And whereas the Common Council determines that said action is also potentially subject to review and approval by other involved agencies under SEQR regulations, and whereas the Common Council has determined that it is the most appropriate agency to ensure the coordination of this action, and has provided written notifications to potentially involved agencies for the purposes of conducting a coordinating review and making the determination of significance thereon under SEQR regulations, and whereas no responses were received from potentially involved or interested agencies within the 30 days response time as required under SEQR regulations, now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council does hereby declare itself to be designated as the lead agency for the purpose of issuing a determination of significance under SEQR on the proposed action. Do I have a motion to approve? Okay, followed by Don. You guys, did you talk about this before?
No.
All right, and discussion?
I have a question. So this is the deer management, all right? So, what are our responsibilities on this? I don't really understand this.
David, do you want to touch on it?
When you say you don't understand it, what
What is
do
the
we
city's
need, what is
responsibility?
this? What is this? Are you talking about long term, you talking about the seeker involvement, or we're doing lead agency we're doing right now?
There was two motions, 11 and 12, and
Right.
After I read this, I had two questions. What are our responsibilities as a city and going across?
When you say responsibilities, I'm not sure what you're asking.
I don't know what we're doing.
Are you aware of your management program?
A little bit, I know.
Have you followed it for the last year and a half?
Vaguely.
The deer management program is a program that's being instituted in order to control deer populations in the city of Oneonta. In order to do that, before we can do that, New York State requires us to do an environmental impact statement as to what the environmental impact would be if we implemented the program. The program has not yet been finalized. But before we can finalize the determination, we have to have an environmental impact, make a determination as to how we go forward. That's what this is. We can't go forward until such time as there's been a determination of environmental impact. That was the environmental impact plan was approved at the last council meeting. We made a request to be lead agency. As a result,
requirement that we notify all adjacent property owners and also any other agency that might be interested in becoming the lead agency for the environmental impact. That was in fact done. That was done more than 30 days ago. 30 days have now transpired, and there has been no response from any other agency or entity that wanted to become the agency to determine the environmental impact of this plan. So the first thing we're doing today is we're declaring the city of Oneonta is going to be the lead agency to make the determination as the environmental impact. Once that's passed, then we'll go to the environmental impact and actually review what the environmental impact of implementing the program to decrease the deer population in the city of Oneonta would be. Once those two things are done, then there'll be a determination of what program is going to be followed, and that will consist of an application to DEC to get a special permit from DEC in order to allow us to begin to implement the program. So that's the short and the long term.
Yeah, so quite the two questions I had, is it gonna cost us anything, and what are we gonna do about the deer?
You're the boss, you decide what you're gonna do about the deer. I don't.
Oh, okay.
The policy will be certainly determined by the council. There've been proposed outlines and determinations as to what steps are gonna take, but that's not finalized. Because first we have to do the environmental impact. What the cost will be, there may be a cost related to depending on whether someone is hired to do an evaluation process, that sort of thing. There is no budget, as far as I know, is there any budget?
So this is essentially just so we can move forward.
That's correct.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion?
Never ask why me if you don't have 15 minutes to spare.
Thank you very much, David.
Could you repeat that, please?
No. You can watch it on.
We're gonna let you take us through motion 12, but let's see if we have any more discussion on motion number 11. If we don't, then we can take a vote.
Councilmember Mosher Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Parsons.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
All right, David, you want to take us through motion 12? You got it. Okay, so motion 12, that the common council approves the following resolution. Seek a resolution classifying the action and negative declaration. Whereas the city of Oneonta Common Council, hereinafter referred to as the Common Council, is considering the adoption of a deer management program to reduce and manage the impact of white-tailed deer populations within the city of Oneonta. And whereas the New York State Environmental Conservation Law and the regulations of the Department of Environmental Conservation, as contained in 6 NYCRR Part 617, require review of the possible environmental consequences of the proposed deer management program. And whereas the Common Council has declared itself the lead agency for the proposed action in accordance with the regulations of SEQR, and whereas the city of Oneonta has considered the nature and impact of the proposed action and has reviewed a short environmental assessment form prepared by the city of Oneonta Deer Management Coordinator. No worries. We'll halt that in favor of going through the impact assessment.
And if you look at the short environmental assessment form, number 2, if you look up in the upper right-hand corner, it says only under the deer management program. You should have also seen at part 1, prepared by the city, and that's all in the packets. This is part 2, the Common Council as the lead agency, which you just became a few moments ago. Now this is an evaluation of what the environmental impact would be if we implement a program for deer management. The questions are 1 through 11, as shown on the environmental assessment form. We have put in no or small impact may occur in that we believe it's going to happen, but I'm going to read through all of these. If there's anyone who has an objection to it or wants to express a concern that it is not a no or small impact may occur, then interrupt and we'll go from there and we'll do it. But we reviewed it and don't leave it, and we will see.
So, yeah, just before we get started, my concern is when I look at these, this takes us all the way through the end game. The end game is ultimately killing off the deer, having different kill zones.
In this environmental impact is
preface that ultimately there's going to be a DEC permit for deer population control, whether it's through whatever mechanism is going to be used, that's what has to be included in the environmental impact.
Right, and then I noticed somewhere in our packet, exactly right, it's 25,000 acres that we're trying to cover here.
That's what is covered, that's where we believe that there's possible environmental impact, if in fact we implement programs. Because it's not only the city itself, but it's the adjacent premises that are within the deer population roaming area, which is beyond my scope of expertise. That's what is included in the environmental impact statement.
But I just want people that are, if they're watching this, to understand that this isn't just the city boundaries, this is beyond the city boundaries.
It is beyond city boundaries, however, under the current plan, we have no jurisdiction to act outside of the city of Orleans boundaries unless we're authorized to enter an municipal agreement. But the environmental impact is beyond the borders of the city, so that's why that's included. Does that answer your question?
But we're not taking out deer in the city. Like, we're not gonna be killing off deer that are in the city.
Yeah, that's how we're going to decrease the population essentially.
Who would be killing the deer in the
This would be the council's
That's the
decision.
determination that's going to be made after we pass the environmental impact.
And the council may decide against that entirely. There are a lot of things that work to the council, and the council make its determinations. This is paving the way to get to that next step as the council weighs in how it wants to
The reason
deer
for passing the
population.
environmental impact statement is to determine what the impact on the environment would be if there was a deer depopulation program put in place.
Just refresh my memory. Yes. Because I thought we have to program it at their stages, right? So we're in the data collection stage. I thought we were doing that for a year. And then we're gonna move on to the management.
But there can be no determination as to a program unless it complies with the DEC requirements. The primary DEC requirement for making an application for any program is you have to do an environmental impact statement. That's one of the requirements for the application. So we're doing things in the order that has to be done if we're ever going to get to a place where we actually implement the program. Okay. This does not establish a program. It doesn't state what it is. It doesn't implement a program. It's simply a precursor to allow us to go to DEC and get a permit.
Right, but we did implement a program.
A program was discussed and proposed to put together to the point where now at the point where that preliminary work has been done, and the only way we can move forward is with the DEC permit based on the application. Before we do that, we have to do the it's kind of a chicken and egg thing.
Susan, can I ask you to just clarify?
Yeah, so last year, the council approved a plan, and we have been moving forward with that plan, but we're at a point in the plan where now you need a permit to do the next step. And so that's a serious action that the council is taking, and it really means that you have to do this impact statement. The impact statement could have been done last year, but it wasn't. And so now it really needs to be done to get to the next phase of the plan. So you do have a plan that
We have a plan, but I don't remember what the precursors were. I mean, you're coming back to the council saying, okay, we're done data collecting, we're now gonna move into the, I keep saying, ozone, we're gonna call it mitigation.
it's the first level of permits.
Right. You're gonna come before the council and say, okay, we're at this step now.
I came here, I don't know, a month ago and gave an update of where we were, and that's when you all had the plan in front of us, so we don't have that in front of us right now. But the data collection doesn't ever end, it'll continue. But August 1st is the deadline for the first set of permits, it's the DMAP permits. So this is what, you have to do this impact statement before you
apply for those with the DEC. The city had kind of wanted to do it last year, but it was just too rushed, and that August 1st deadline came and went. So this is that.
No, I understand this process, but I'm saying beyond that, you're gonna come back to the council and say, okay, we're to the stage now that we're moving into.
That's correct.
So this has to be done, maybe by August 1st. Or are we too late? No, not too late. We're right up front.
All right, so let me take this back to council. So you want to go now through? So we're.
Are there any other questions before we start going through the short environmental assessment form? Okay, the first question is, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? We say that the answer to that is no. Number two, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land? The answer to that is no or small. Three, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Number four, will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? Just so you know, there are no critical environmental areas anywhere in the county of Washington. Five, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? The answer to that is no. Number six, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? The answer to that is no. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies, public or private wastewater treatment facilities? The answer to both of those is no. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? The answer to that is no. Number 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? We believe the answer to that is no. Number 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? The answer to that is no. Number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to an environmental resource or human health? We believe the answer to that is no. Unless there are any questions, I will now refer back to the mayor to continue reading the motion.
And are there any questions? Then, if you don't mind, I'd rather not pick that up from the top, but just continue on from where I left off. That works for everybody? Right, so whereas the city of Oneonta has considered the nature and impact of the proposed action, has reviewed a short environmental assessment form prepared by the city of Oneonta Deer Management Coordinator in conjunction with the city staff and the city attorney. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Common Council hereby finds and concludes that the adoption of the proposed deer management program is an unlisted action as defined in the State Environmental Quality Review Act and its regulations. Be it further resolved that the Common Council finds and concludes that. Hey, oh my goodness. I thought I was giving this off to you somehow. The action A, the action reflects best practice in the management of deer populations and reflects the goals found in the DEC management plan for white-tailed deer in New York State 2021-2030, specifically those related to the overall health and sustainability of the deer population and the reduction of negative impacts of deer population within the urban area. B, for the Common Council has considered the following factors and makes the following conclusions in respect to its review of the environmental impacts of the proposed action. 1, the proposed action is not in material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation. 2, the proposed action will not result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land. 3, the proposed action will not impair the character or quality of the existing community. 4, the proposed action will not have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area. 5, the proposed action will not have an adverse impact on traffic or negatively impact existing pedestrian or 6, the proposed action will have no impact on the use of energy. 7, the proposed action will have no impact on existing water or wastewater infrastructure. 8, the proposed action will have no impact on historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources. 9, the proposed action will have no negative impact on natural resources. The proposed action aligns with the DEC management plan for white-tailed deer in New York State, 2021-2030, and seeks to ensure a sustainable and healthy population of deer within the action area. 10, the proposed action will not result in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems, and if implemented through the management of deer populations, will ensure a healthy ground cover and vegetation along waterways within the action area. 11, the proposed action will not create hazards to environmental resources or human health. It will reduce tick-borne illnesses and improve the overall health of the existing deer population in the action area. C, the proposed action would not have a significant adverse environmental impact, as a result of which this negative declaration is appropriate. D, no further environmental review is required with respect to the proposed action, and E, the mayor, or his designee, is authorized to complete the environmental assessment form following review by the city attorney in relation to this proposed action in a manner consistent with the foregoing findings and negative declaration. Do I have a motion to approve? Katie? Followed by Elaine, sorry. And discussion.
Oh, discussion. Okay. I guess there's a little concern about like how we're gonna have people shooting at your city center and how that's gonna.
Understand there is no current project that planned.
This is just,
Proposed this is the environmental impact.
we're just gonna get another opportunity to discuss this.
Several.
Okay.
And more presentation. Sure. Further discussion? I think we can take a vote.
Councilmember Moser Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember McClatchy. Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Henson. Councilmember Whitman.
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews.
Yes.
All right. We'll go to motion number 13. Motion that the Common Council approves the following resolution. Seeker resolution declaring lead agency, whereas the City of Oneonta Common Council, hereinafter referred to as the Common Council, has reviewed the New York State Environmental Quality Review, Seeker, short environmental assessment form, and we have not yet done that. Okay, all right. All good.
That's just the.
Yeah, I'm just saving myself words if I don't need to use them.
It's in everybody's pack.
You got it.
If you use them wrong, I'll jump on the.
I know you will. Right. Short Environmental Assessment Form, SEAF, Part 1, prepared by Fisher Associates for the above referenced Oneonta Route 23 and 28 Complete Streets project, hereafter referred to as action. And whereas the Common Council determines that said action is also potentially subject to review and approval by other involved agencies under seeker regulations, and whereas the Common Council has determined that it is the most appropriate agency to ensure the coordination of this action and has provided written notification to potentially involved agencies for the purposes of conducting a coordinated review and making the determination of significance thereon under seeker regulations. And whereas no involved or interested agencies requested to act as lead agency within the 30 days response time as required under seeker regulations, now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council does hereby declare itself to be designated as the lead agency for the purpose of issuing a determination of significance under seeker on the proposed action. Do I have a motion to approve? Followed by Scott and discussion. Discussion? Done.
This is the Lettuce Highway project. What you're saying is the money is going to come from the local share. It's going to come from the money that we have saved for repairing streets, local streets, is that correct?
Yeah, obviously, this action has nothing to do with the funding of the project, but yes, if we don't get the additional grant.
The money eventually will come from, it's not gonna be bonded, it's going to come from money we've set aside to repair local streets.
Correct, our intent was to use funding from the Streets and Sidewalks Reserve. We also, at the last council meeting, approved an application to the Climate Smart Communities Program to seek additional grant funding, which would help reduce the amount of local
Yeah, I
risk.
recall that. So,
Between those two.
what impact will that have on repairing the local streets? Because I drive around in like West Street in the area of where the water treatment plant is and by the high school and middle school. It's like a patchwork. And then also the section of Ford Avenue, just to name two out of many. What kind of an impact is this going to have on the ability to repair the local streets?
I mean, ultimately, our ability to repair local streets is dependent on annual funding levels. The last 4 or 5 years, we've been reliant on state funding assistance through the CHIPS program and the state local touring routes, state touring route program. We have not been dedicating annual general fund monies to that. We had in the past. We have not been spending money from the Streets and Sidewalks Reserve very often. We have contributed to past capital projects. Something like River Street reconstruction, that was the general fund portion of that was funded through the state programs. So ultimately, we have a finite amount of reserves in the Streets and Sidewalks Reserve. How we choose to spend that money is up to the council.
How much do we have?
There's
$1.5 million.
Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, though, on this particular project that you're doing originally, it was discussed to us that we were going to bond for that.
No, I don't think we ever talked about bonding for the West Highway. It was right from the beginning, it was to use the Streets and Sidewalks Reserve. And that was a goal that was set back when this application was made, and that's why we built the Street and Sidewalks Reserve up to be able to match our local portion with that. Now, we have the option, if the council chooses, we can do a bond resolution for the project.
I've been taking my bike up and down as many local streets as I can, and without looking for signs, I could tell when we leave the city and go into the town, because their streets are much better maintained than ours. I just don't like the project.
We understand that, but that doesn't have anything to do with a lead agency as far as secret is concerned. You can go against it, but the discussion of funding and what's going to be approved and not approved has nothing to do with what the environmental impact of the project will be.
So this is similar to what we had just voted on, where we're not voting to do something to deal. We're not voting to do something to streets.
Yeah, I'm just stating my objection.
So we will have that conversation at some point.
My understanding is we will not have a vote to approve or not approve the project. We're just going to have a vote on certain aspects of it. Like whether it's going to be 2 lanes or 3. Is that right?
So the project's been approved. The grant application was approved by the council and acceptance of that. So the project's been ongoing. That's why we're at the point where I would design and do this environmental review. But the next approval by the council that will be needed eventually will be the awarded construction contracts. We will have additional discussion, and we're looking to schedule another public information meeting to get some more input from the public. We've received some comments from DOT on the draft design report. We made a presentation a few meetings ago where 2 alternatives that were discussed. We're leaning toward alternative 1 based on comments from New York State DOT. Alternative 1 is where the southbound lane from the city going down and heading towards the south side would be 1 lane, and northbound would remain as 2 lanes.
So it's okay.
As opposed to alternative 2, which was reducing both northbound and southbound to 1 lane.
Plus there was an increase in cost.
Oh, yes, alternate 2 is more.
But here, what we're discussing is the secret resolution. Any further discussion on the secret resolution? Certainly voting on. Okay.
Councilmember Moser Kimball.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFerge.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
No.
Councilmember Henderson. Councilmember Wood. Councilmember Matheson.
No. Okay, let's go through the environmental assessments. Then I'll read them.
If you look at the second, that was reference part one. This is part two. If you look up the right hand corner, we're into only on Route 23, all the way to 8 complete streets. We're going through exactly the same process. The questions are exactly the same. We do the response the same, but again, if you see something there that you think should be discussed or needs to be discussed, or is different than what you believe the environmental impact would be, speak up and we'll address it. We'll answer the following questions using the information contained in part one. In answering the questions, reviewers should be guided by the concept. My response is reasonable considering the scale and context of the proposed action. Number one, will the proposed action create a material conflict with the adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? Number two, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land? Three, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Number four, will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? Number five, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? The answer to that is no, it will not have an adverse impact. Number six, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation and renewable energy opportunities? The answer to that is no. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies or public or private wastewater treatment utilities? The answer to that is no. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? The answer to that is no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, water quality, flora, and fauna? The answer to that is no. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? The answer to that is no. 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? The answer to that is no.
And yes, go ahead.
So I would just think that questions number 2 and 3 would be a yes, since the basis of this is to create an opportunity for people to walk over the south side and purchase goods.
Our position is change, that there's no change of use, it's already been used for walkway. It would not increase or change the current use, it's also being used as part of the transportation system. So if anything else, it will ameliorate it instead of having a negative impact, it will have a positive impact.
I'm not saying it's a negative or a positive, I'm just saying that it is going to have an effect on the character.
But it does not have a moderate or large impact. It's a no impact or a small impact.
We're removing concrete to place trees.
So
We're removing concrete to plant trees, so that seems
is that a negative impact?
Is that all that we're looking for is negatives?
Yes.
Okay. I thought I just said impact.
Well, the use or intensity of the use of the land. Could be more intensively or less intensively, or no change at all. Again, if you want to move to vote on it, you can do that. And then we can have a vote on that question. You guys
I'm sorry, I just didn't think that it was a negative and a positive. I'm just thinking, if you're thinking all negatives, I'm just saying,
based
if you're going for a positive.
on what the purpose of the secret impact is, the answer is no or small impact. Do you have one other one?
Two and three are similar to me. I mean, you're changing the
Things that
intensity of the land.
impair the character or quality of the existing community. How is that going to impair the
So it was described to us a couple weeks ago by that presentation that the vehicular traffic isn't there, the count isn't there anymore, and that you're removing a lane of traffic, at least one lane of traffic, to provide a biking and walking path, planting trees. And so you are changing the use of the.
This is not changed, whether it has a negative, whether it would impair the character. Does it make it worse or does it make it better? Do you think there is a moderate to significant? And again, you can ask for vote on that.
I can just say too, before
On the B, number 5, the,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You want to pursue that, Bob?
I'm not sure about it myself, so it's not.
Which is no negative impact on existing vehicular lane capacity. Lanes will be removed, either one or two lanes.
Where are you done?
Number 5, the last part of number 5, says no negative impact on existing vehicular lane capacity.
That one was short form, or it's a separate piece of it. Or on this piece of it.
Oh,
If you look in the upper right corner, this is only on
This is the part 2, the environmental assessment.
well, I just have it on here.
That's not, you look at the wrong document.
I don't have that.
Yes, you do.
Number 5. Here it is.
Well, it will affect the, I don't have it. There'll be a negative impact if there's fewer lanes.
I would talk to
This
the
has to
folks.
do with the level of traffic.
Right.
We have 1 or 3, we change the level of traffic.
And
We're putting in sidewalks, change the level of traffic.
So reducing the lanes may,
How will that increase or decrease traffic?
people will go on Main Street instead of Lettuce Highway.
So it will decrease traffic? The question is whether the project will increase traffic on the roadway.
No.
Exactly my point. That's why we said no.
All right. What about in the resolution, on number 14?
I'm not looking at the resolution. Now, you can, right now, we're doing the environmental impact stage. We want to discuss that in the resolution, that's fine.
I'm
not there yet.
confused then, okay. Sorry about that.
that's what I asked.
Can you, so in number 5, it says, affect existing infrastructure for mass transit. Is that like dropping off and picking up?
Mass transit has, the only mass transit that's used on that area is OPT.
Right.
And there will be no increase or decrease in runs as a result of the project. By putting sidewalks in, it will not increase or decrease the number of runs or the drop off or the pick off points. So it will have no impact on mass transit as far as I'm concerned. Can you perceive any situation where there would be an increase or impact on mass transit?
Also, I was just asking what you're looking at for infrastructure. Like I was thinking like the drop off zones.
This is a sidewalk project. There are no. I think the drop off and pick up routes are illegal on interstate or interstate feeder roads.
Drop off right in front of the house. That's what I was just asking.
If 23 is.
I understand that. I was just asking what was considered infrastructure. Is it just the traffic or is it the drop off pickup at the end of the 2? Or are we just looking at from Main Street to South Side, 23, that's it, just that section from Lettuce.
The section is covered by the project.
I just want to make sure I was reading it.
I think so.
Okay.
Good. So we pushed through all 11, and then you were not looking to. All right, so with that, then there's something like general agreement on those 11, in which case I'll go to motion 14, that the Common Council approves the following resolution. Seek a resolution classifying the action and negative declaration. Whereas the City of Oneonta Common Council, hereinafter referred to as the Common Council in conjunction with the Town of Oneonta, is seeking to enhance connectivity and improve transportation infrastructure shared by both municipalities. And whereas the New York State environmental conservation law and the regulations of the Department of Environmental Conservation are contained in 6 NYCRR Part 617, require review of the possible environmental consequences of the proposed Oneonta Route 23 and 28 Complete Streets project, hereinafter referred to as the action. And whereas the Common Council has declared itself the lead agency for the proposed action in accordance with the regulations of SEQR, and whereas the City of Oneonta has considered the nature and impact of the proposed action and has reviewed a short environmental assessment form prepared by Fisher Associates, now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council hereby finds and concludes that the Oneonta Route 23 and 28 Complete Streets project is an unlisted action as defined in the State Environmental Quality Review Act and its regulations. And be it further resolved that the Common Council finds and concludes that A, the action supports long-range planning goals and best practices in transportation planning by improving safety, mobility, pedestrian and bicycle accessibility, and community connectivity through the potential incorporation of sidewalks, lighting, and signage, as well as reduced vehicular travel lanes, and multimodal paths. And B, the Common Council has considered the following factors and makes the following conclusions in respect to its review of the environmental impacts of the proposed action. 1, the proposed action is not in material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation. The action supports walkability and increased access for pedestrians to important shopping, recreation, and housing options in both the city and the town of Oneonta. 2, the proposed action will not result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land. 3, the proposed action will not impair the character or quality of the existing community. 4, the proposed action will not have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area. 5, the proposed action will not have an adverse impact on traffic or negatively impact existing pedestrian or transportation infrastructure. The action will increase transportation options, improve pedestrian safety, and will have no negative impact on existing vehicular lane capacity. 6, the proposed action will have no negative impact on the use of energy. The action improves walkability and decreases dependency on automobile use. 7, the proposed action will have no impact on existing water or wastewater infrastructure. 8, the proposed action will have no impact on historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources. 9, the proposed action will have no negative impact on natural resources. 10, the proposed action will not result in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems. 11, the proposed action will not create hazards to environmental resources or human health. This action will improve pedestrian and vehicular safety within the action area with minimal impact to existing environmental resources. C, the proposed action would not have a significant adverse environmental impact as a result of which this negative declaration is appropriate. D, no further environmental review is required with respect to the proposed action. And E, the mayor or his designee is authorized to complete the environmental assessment form following review by the city attorney in relation to this proposed action in a manner consistent with the foregoing findings and negative declaration. Do I have a motion to approve? Shannon, followed by Elaine. And discussion? Don?
This is what the one where number 5 was saying no negative impact on existing particular use capacity. I think it will have a negative impact. And I just want to say one thing. I'm all for having a sidewalk and lighting and signage and bike lanes at the Main Street, the south side. I just think this isn't the project. It's an opinion. I'm not in the minority, but you know, in my mind, it's not the best project.
It's not what? I can't hear.
Not the best project.
Why isn't it the best project?
Well, first of all, it reduces the Dennis Highway was built to move vehicles quickly from south side to Main Street and the other way. And a couple couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that I took an informal survey.
Very informal, because every time I pass someone on the highway, I think, I should take a picture for Dawn, and I don't, because it's crazy. But I, to prove to you, Dawn, it's like tough, because like, some of this is showing how you are somebody that needs to be able to see things, to be absolutely certain, and that's a little bit dangerous, right? Like, there are people who are really in need of this space and the ability to travel safely back and forth.
And I said, I'm in
And so
favor
what
of
is it
sidewalk
that,
and
what
bike
is
lanes.
the issue?
Excuse me?
What is the crux of your issue? Why is this so problematic?
Two things. It's expensive. We could have bike lanes and sidewalks done much cheaper, and we don't have to reduce the number of lanes. That's all. That's
We're
my
talking
complaint.
about, can somebody please tell me how long this highway is? Anybody know?
Excuse me, what did you say? How long?
How long is this highway?
It's a little over a mile long. I think.
Okay, so we're concerned with a mile of road and how quickly we can get down a mile of road.
I think it's the main connection to I-88 as well as.
Okay, but there's two runs to I-88, at least going towards Binghamton. So, but we're talking about a mile stretch, right? A mile stretch that if you were in a vehicle is not as dangerous as if you're pushing a stroller full of children.
That's why I say I'm in favor of the protected sidewalk and bike lane. I'm all for that. I just don't like this project.
Which, okay, I mean, you're entitled to that, obviously. But, yeah, I'm just curious, because you keep coming up against it, and I never fully understood why.
Well, I hope you understand that. Why? I'm for a bike lane, I'm for a pedestrian walkway, and I'm for making them protected.
Okay, because first of all, I just want to point out that one person watching a street on one day, that's not a study, that's anecdotal. And
Right.
also, just that, whether we like the project or not is not what the motion is about. The motion is about the environmental impact.
I understand that.
So I think that's really what we should be discussing this time.
Further discussion? Scott?
Disregard it.
Further discussion? Let's go.
Councilmember Moser Control?
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh? Aye. Councilmember DePardieu? Aye. Councilmember Carson? Councilmember Harrington? Councilmember Wood?
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson?
No.
Okay, carries 5, and we'll move on to motion number 15. Motion that the Common Council declares the fire department's 1999 TNT hydraulic power plant FO2752 and 1999 TNT hydraulic extrication cutter FO2756 as surplus, and authorizes the mayor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement subject to review by the city attorney with the Franklin Treadwell Fire District for the district's purchase of this equipment for $2,000, and further authorizes a budget amendment increasing code A.2665, sale of equipment, and increasing the fire department's code A.3410.2, equipment and capital outlay in the amount of $2,000. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Followed by Scott. And discussion? I think we can call a vote.
Councilmember Moser Control? Councilmember McHugh? Aye. Councilmember DePardieu? Aye. Councilmember Carson?
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Wood?
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson?
Yes.
Wonderful. Motion number 16, that the Common Council authorizes the city administrator or designated training site supervisors to sign various work experience agreements with the Otsego County Office of Employment and Training, OET, to allow for the employment of Workforce Investment Act, WIA, participants to perform work at City of Oneonta designated training sites under the on-site supervision and instruction of training site supervisors employed by the City of Oneonta in compliance with all labor laws. These agreements are subject to review by the city attorney. Do I have a motion to approve? Don, followed by Scott. And discussion?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you guys discuss this at finance? Did I black out during that?
It was added to the agenda.
Okay, could we just get, I'm sorry, like a rough overview of this, because it sounds cool.
I think, unless it didn't somehow get there, that I did have a, it's not in the packet, is it? That's right. I can read it quick. So it's essentially CEO workforce, work experience agreements. So the program manager on the city side of this would be Dave Corey as a principal HR specialist. So CEO workforce, he has a contact there. If they have youth employees or members of the community who are looking for employment through the Workforce Investment Board program, they'll contact the city and we'll see if we have a placement for them in one of our work crews. Currently we have a couple, maybe two, I think, that are interested in working on our parks crew. So these wouldn't be city of Leon employees, they're employed through the CEO workforce and then they're just placed with us. So it's similar to a volunteer situation, but rather than having a volunteer waiver, we have this agreement with CEO workforce. They sign a work experience agreement. There's a case of DPW, there'd be a supervisor that's on a parks crew that would be looking over what they're doing, assigning them work that's applicable. But there's no budget impact on the city. We're not paying them. They're paid through the program. So yeah, it's really similar to the Job Corps program where we're getting some labor that's funded through a different federal program.
And that's the key, is that it's a volunteer program as far as we're concerned. They're getting work experience and hands-on skills development, and they're being paid by the state. Doesn't get any better. And it's also, young people who find themselves potentially staying in the area and working, in much needed, much depleted industry. Yes.
How long is this agreement in place?
So there would be an individual work experience agreement for each participant.
Okay.
So that would be determined on a case-by-case basis. So if they're available for 2 months to work with us, that would be defined in the agreement. So this is essentially the council delegating the authority to whether it's how the motion reads, whether it is
Supervisors or yourself?
training site supervisors, yeah. So if HR working with senior workforce identifies a participant, they speak with the department head and myself, there's a need, we'll have the authority to enter that work experience agreement with the participant.
That's cool. So this is like ongoing, it could be in many different departments.
Yeah, rather than having to bring a motion to council every time there's an individual or two that need to go through, it's a standard work experience form.
Cool.
So one thing I have to add is each person's limits to the maximum number of hours to work with us. I think it's 120 max.
I'm not certain.
80 or 120 is kind of what I'm remembering. So it's not like a long term.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
This is the first time we started this relationship with the savings.
Yes. Yeah, well, actually, we're using, Purdue is using it for the more profit. So they're the site supervisors there.
Is there, could we get some feedback at some point on how it's going? Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I know a lot of places do this. And it's actually like really, I think, underutilized for how much help basically everybody in the community needs. So I think it's cool that we're gonna take part in it.
All right, further discussion? Take a vote.
Councilmember Moser Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Township.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlson.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitten.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendelson.
Yes.
Terrific. All right, now we're moving on to staffing, a discussion that I'm going to back out of and let Greg and the chief probably take the lead on this.
Sure, I mean, I don't know if Scott from the finance committee, if you wanted to jump in on this at all as well, we did discuss this. But if you want, maybe Chief Knapp can initially give an overview or.
Yeah, I think you guys put the ground running.
You want to start, Chief?
Sure. So right now, as you guys are all aware, we've had a captain of ours that's been out. We're right around a year at this point. I'm trying to be proactive. There's academy starts September 3rd. What I'm wanting to do is to increase my staffing by one individual with the thought process that once the individual that's out, we would attract back to our 28 firefighters and captains. What this will do for me is, if we can get this spot, we do have it reserved with you, the fire academy. If you guys give me permission to do this, then I will be at full staff by the end of the year. And we'll start 2025 with 4 crews that have 4 captains that are solidified, and the 4 crews will have 7 staffing. It'll make it easier for the budget process for me because we have a minimum staffing of 6. So if we have 7 on duty, we're not filling holiday, vacation time, all of that stuff with overtime, which has been an ongoing issue from year to year. So just wanted to have the general conversation. Timeline works good for us right now. If you guys even remember back in February, we hired a temporary captain to fill that job, to fill that spot. There's a 6-month civil service deadline. It is August 7th. We have a meeting August 6th, so I'm hoping to bring a name to you on the 6th for approval to start the 7th for permanent captain position.
So, council conversation on this? There's a motion.
Yeah, not right now. Because the process, right now we have a civil service list of firefighters, potential firefighters. We have to run them through physical agility, do interviews, find one person that we want. So, I mean, that's a process, and I don't want to go down that road if we don't have the position available. And then, again, we just canvassed the list for the permanent position of captain. That is still open right now, but that'll be closed, and we can potentially have a name for a vacancy August 7th. But certainly we don't want that, but
Given the amount of time that it takes to get these individuals on board for their staff, fully educated, and it's got to be proactive, and thank you for bringing this forward for us.
And in discussion with finance, I brought up that we brought this with the police department too, and hired 5 and only had 2 positions, so we keep these 2 people. So we've already kind of done this a couple of times, and I think it's, like you said, the training, how long it takes them, so if they don't come already certified as a paramedic, they have to do first, they have to be paramedics, so we can be pushing this out for years before the board training, ready to go, 100% ready to go, so I think anything that we can do to try to relieve any kind of pressure on our staff, get our, like he said, his budget, he's always, chief, I think he always says, the budget and stuff, but we haven't been worried about transfers and the last couple of years from the council, so it's been working so.
Or just add, if we don't do this now, the next window for the academy would be March. So we'd be looking at, not having someone fill in that spot until July. So
That's just more of a, that's exactly it. Does anybody have any dissenting opinions here? So I think, Chief, if you're looking for the sense of this council. Thank you, appreciate it. Good. Thanks for sitting in the wooden bench. Not his first rodeo.
You bring a pad or something, right? I mean, 36 years you've been doing this, I'm sure you have a heated massaging pad, right?
For the first 30 years, I sat in one of your padded chairs like you have.
You can have it back.
Do we have any,
No sensitivity for the poor old guys.
do we have any additional business, or anything else for council consideration?
I would, first of all, to all our employees that are out here working at E-Wave and across the board, police, fire, DPW, everybody that's working, I think they appreciate it. And that you guys have a right, from 5 minutes out there. The other thing I'd like to kind of bring up a little bit is what was kind of brought up, we kind of discussed this a couple times amongst the council, and just never going anywhere, and that's, the Corey brought up a little bit about law control, but also we want to try to get back to law control as well, for that police department stuff. I think, you know, there has been more and more push, I've taken more and more phone calls about it. And I think that's something that we really need to look into. I just look into, I'm not into any other stuff, not just, is it feasible, can chief give us some type of report on why or why not, what works for it, and try to move that forward, and law control is reestablished on Main Street.
You know, I think, my opinion, but I think that it would probably be a very good thing for the chief to just kind of explain his manpower issues and what he's able to do, he's not able to do, and have council kind of understanding that, and maybe that is informed by the strategic plan, and maybe those adjustments made in terms of thinking about.
I kind of wanted it at the council level versus college level, because it's such an important thing, since actually everybody's
I think we can reach out to the chief and have him, I think it would probably make a lot of sense for that to be in the public purview. Here's what he's, here's what he's doing with, and here's what he's trying to make happen. And then the council, takes its, has its conversation, discussion, and generates its direction. So I think, personally, again, I'm not about to tell the chief that he needs to be very accountable, but I think it's probably a thing that makes sense. We can probably schedule that for next council meeting.
Something I wanted to add to that. I think that would be really helpful to know. I've heard the idea of community policing and walking patrols come up in various circles around, downtown businesses, community wellness. So I think that would be really helpful.
So having that conversation at the council level as opposed to the public.
Yeah, I just think it would be better to have it here, and then, there's always two sides to everything that goes on. Just, like, as much information as I can. So we can try to say how can we help.
There you go. There you go. Exactly right. Definitely. Good. Anything else for council consideration?
I have a question. So I know the intent, and we passed a motion about this, was for the downtown Renaissance to close Beach Street, and I'm wondering, like, I know we just had an update, and Josh was gracious enough to come, but if you would just talk to us about what the future of that is.
Yeah. So really late start. Vendors are all booked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I had a timeline, kind of, whatever. So as he got hired on the 22nd, and he started making these phone calls, and he's got a substantial Rolodex of virtual Rolodex of vendors, and they're just all booked. So we're reimagining the use of Beach Street. Don't want to close it unless it's being used. So that's number one. But do want to use it. So we're looking at kind of replicating to some degree what Delhi's been successful in doing, which is to make it kind of, they have a street that they've kind of created as a kids zone. And that's one of the things, it's about what is the asset we're trying to bring people downtown. The idea of a bazaar, I love it, so that's not what it's going to be. But it could be bounce houses, it could be, other things that are kid-oriented and young family-oriented. There'll be, in fact, we have the ice cream social this Saturday, right? This Saturday. Yeah, and we had, the Job Corps was going to do their chess tournament, but it didn't happen. But we'll see what we can do about getting them back.
I saw that after.
Yeah. It was a last-minute cancellation on their part, but that happens. But yeah, so we're looking to take advantage of the space and turn it into something that is an asset for our marketing. It's all about bringing people, not only people from the Sun All-Star Village, but also people from the surrounding counties into Oneonta with, here we got these other things going, and also bringing people downtown who were kind of sworn one of them who've lived here for a while, so that there's this idea, there's stuff going on. But we simply don't wanna close anything until we have something. We don't wanna lose it, you know, the fear of if you don't use it, you lose it, but we also just don't want to do anything that's not built.
I have several follow-up questions, but unless you want to change the subject.
Oh, no, I wanted to add
Okay.
that, farmers market is very happy every week. I talk to, Meg Kennedy, who runs that, and she's happy. And, Cecilia has been, tabling, for the last 2 weeks, I think, and it's gone well. But that's the farmers market.
Within that.
Are we getting the community, since we're not utilizing the D Street space, are we like saying, hey, community people, organizations,
Yes,
nonprofits, do
that's-
you wanna take over this space?
Yes, that's going on right now.
Okay.
Connections to, the various, youth, centers and anybody and everybody that does anything, dance studios and, yoga studios and just, creative use of the space that, again, hopefully, if you bring, it's especially great, it's one of the secret sauces. If you bring kids down, you bring their parents down. We're gonna, tomorrow, depending on the weather, we have the Westcott lot will be adorned with 120 illustrations of summer fun generated by mostly fifth graders in the 3 elementary schools. And that'll bring people down to see those, and also bring
On
parents.
the fence.
On the fence, on the Westcott lot.
Okay, I was like trying to figure out.
Yeah, we
how it was going.
kind of turned it into a gallery wall, which is kind of an interesting idea. And it kind of energizes a dead space, which is we have this unfortunate, on the other side of Muller Plaza, all the way basically to Ford and Main is, it's just a dead zone.
Autumn
Well, but
and
no,
Down Street.
well, sure, no, but I'm saying in terms of, we have a couple of businesses, but there's a long expanse for people to walk along, that is, it doesn't have a lot of energy to it. The Westcott lot fence, the community bank building, the town, the county office building, they, taken together, they wind up being something that is, you have to give people a reason to want to go down to Ford and then to Elm, because we want those businesses to be doing it. It's just pulling people down.
So, I have a question.
No, that's
sorry. So I don't know how I want to ask this, but so the intention, right, was to have the coordinator coordinate D Street and entertainment in Muller Plaza. But we also had Fordue that we contracted with to activate the space. But now all of the D Street stuff is happening in Muller Plaza, so that's kind of already being activated. So to me, it feels like we're sort of duplicating efforts in Muller Plaza.
I'm happy to clear that up. Yeah, so the idea, D Street was a major piece of the coordinator's job, but how we were impacting downtown, generally speaking, whether it's the art being put in windows or the alley that's, the night gallery.
Night alley market.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, which happens independent of the court.
Yeah. But how can we help? What can we do? What can we make certain there's a duplication of effort? How do we ensure that every artist and every performer is supported, has electric when they need it, has covering when they need it? All those things, are what he's doing. And then what he's done is we've looked at, again, we don't want to have, if you can't have a lot of vendors and things, which you clearly can't right now, in Beach Street, then, but you need to have that activated, energy of Main Street, then it's made sense to move a lot of what he was going to do in the mobile. And so he and Kayla are just kind of working in sync, and so what's going on in Muller Plaza winds up being substantially more than what we've had in Muller Plaza last year. So it's a win-win. And then as we start to, and then you're even looking at things like, if we could put a buster, on a corner, or whatever we can do that's going to wind up bringing people, as I said, we can bring people both to Elm Street and to Clinton Plaza, both directions. So, kind of pulling that all together, that's his
I
job.
guess I just haven't seen a lot of that. Like I said, like I know that the market operates independently. The downtown storefront project is being managed by a third party.
Well, I mean, they're part of the steering committee as well.
But so I guess my concern is that like we have the DO contract, which is like $16,000, and we're paying a coordinator $25,000, and we're basically just getting like a lot of stuff in Miller Plaza. It just seems very expensive to me. I mean, just not to be a Debbie Downer, but as like a cheap person, right? It seems like a lot.
Yeah, but I would just say that you're not seeing it, but it's there. I'm seeing it.
Well, but the point is to
Conversations.
see it, right? But the point is to see it.
Well,
And I don't
I don't know
see-
that you would see.
I don't
what
see it
goes on.
pulling really down to either side of Main Street.
Well, that's an ongoing, that's a struggle, that's what we're talking about the other day. Really are. What do we do? How do we, what can we do to entice people, to go down a block and a half in this direction, that direction, so we can wayfind themselves, so we can, incentivize. No, it's not more money, it's all in the same,
Because obviously I want those businesses to succeed, but saying like we're spending $35,000 to struggle to get businesses.
They're doing okay.
Well, I know, because I go to Newman's in 2 days. But I'm just saying, like, if the goal of the coordinator is to activate Main Street from Clinton Plaza to Elm Street, like hearing that they're struggling to move people from one end to the other is not,
Well, it's not easy.
doesn't inspire confidence.
Well, it should, because honestly, I'm intimately involved as just a citizen, right? With a lot of experience, and I gotta tell you, it's not easy. And what's being done.
I don't say that it is, but we put our confidence and our money where our mouth was,
Right.
so.
No, I really do believe that he's doing an excellent job. And I've got the.
I'm not saying he's not doing an
Right.
excellent job. I'm saying, is the investment working? The
Well, it's-
$35,000 investment, because it seems like it's a lot happening in Miller Plaza, and the rest of it is being done by volunteers independently.
But they're all part of, he's the
investment.
coordinator, he's not the guy doing it all. I mean, it can't be, that's not the way it works. You have to be, my experience in doing these things just informs, what I'm saying.
I know that you're very passionate.
No,
and
it's
that
not
you
being
have a lot of
passionate, I'm just saying
experience.
that you have to work with a group of a dozen, 15, 20 people in order to make something like this happen. And this is happening every single day. Right? So it's connecting to Cooperstown Ulster Village, it's connecting to the various, Facebook groups that they have for every week. It's generating promotions that are, print and then distribution of that, where all those things go. They're all having an effect, and they're getting to the places they need to get. But his job is to, if he is not the guy that is putting a, plugging in a port, because, this is not his full-time job for it, right? So his job is to know who's doing it, and to make sure that they are doing it. So all those things are happening because you have somebody in place who's doing it.
Right, I guess, I'm sorry, I think my point is being kind of like pulled aside. I think my point is, because of the Beach Street not working out, the focus of the coordinator has been coordinating events in Muller Plaza. And we've also hired DO to activate Muller Plaza. So that's 2 people working on the same space for a lot of money.
Yeah, okay, but again, this is out of the $60,000 that was the destination element of the budget. And they asked us for twice that amount of money for less than what we're doing right now, right? So that's, I don't think a lot of people seem to know that or remember that. So what we asked them for is what we're doing here, right, which is trying to generate foot traffic. Foot traffic downtown is the key. So, and so, we're surveying, that's me doing the survey. He's got his spreadsheet, but I'm going up and down, I'm listening to people, I'm seeing how they're doing, and they're telling me, and everybody, generally speaking, not every single individual, but most businesses are up, and I see the foot traffic is noticeably greater than it was last year. is almost, not universally, luckily, there are a lot of folks, it seems, from this, who live in the city, who are finding their way downtown too, which is nice. But there's a lot of Cooperstown All-Star Village folks in the city, and it's a greater percentage than we typically have. So that is kind of like, that's what you would want, what are your benchmarks? So the benchmark is, are the businesses seeing more foot traffic? Are the businesses seeing, more income? And generally speaking, they are. So that's kind of what we hired him for, but he's also coordinating the efforts and being supported by, it's a back and forth, of a 13-member now steering committee, with everybody has their jobs.
Right, I mean, again, I'm not specifically talking about the coordinator and the work of the coordinator. I'm talking about the fact that this was initially supposed to take place in 2 separate locations, and the coordinator was going to coordinate Beach Street, and Muller Plaza was kind of like taken care of by the 4D contract. They did it last year,
Right.
But now Muller Plaza is taken care of by the coordinator. So does that make the 4D contract redundant?
No, because last year, if you remember and Kaler's a gift.
I mean, I agree, and I'm not
so what
assassinating
so what
anyone's
Taylor-
character here.
so
I'm
what-
asking if it's worth the money. It's $35,000.
I do agree.
I'm getting frustrated because it always seems to get tied back to whether or not I think this person is valuable or I think they're a good person, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, are we spending our money wisely?
And I would say yes. I mean, I absolutely would say yes.
I didn't want to phrase it as a yes or no question. I wanted to hear why.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
And the reason that I would say that we're spending our money wisely, again, we're only spending about 2/3 of the DO money, so that the DO had $60,000. We're spending 2/3 of that, right? We're spending.
Well, no,
You
because
can
we're paying
say
Josh
that, but
$25,000.
you and Greg decided together that the DO thing wasn't working for us. You guys opted not to, because you keep throwing out the DO $60,000, but we had no say in it. You guys decided that we weren't gonna go with that and gave us another option. I just wanna put that out there, because you keep floating it like we had a say in it. So, go back, I'm sorry. So-
Also, my math is not mathing, because if the DL contract is $60,000, we're paying Josh $25,000.
Right.
And the,
$15,000.
Fordo is like $16,000.
Right, but that was not.
So that's like $40,000. Oh, gotcha, but we're still spending like $40,000 on Muller Plaza this summer.
But it's not, it's really, I know that's what you're seeing is Muller Plaza, but it's not just Muller Plaza.
Okay.
There's, people are going to the hotels, to the motels, to the beds and breakfasts. They're making sure that people have literature in front of them. They're attacking, in a pretty vigorous way, all of the various social media sites that are Cooperstown All-Star Village centric. There is a promotional, whirlwind really that he's at the center of. And so you don't see that in Muller Plaza. And also what happened in Muller Plaza last year was great. We had tables and chairs and umbrellas. We had kids games. And that's pretty much what we had. So now what you have is you see entertainment there, you see vendors there, and so forth and so on. Those would have been in Beach Street, but they weren't enough to fill Beach Street. And so we don't want to take it.
Point is that now they moved to Muller Plaza, so it's Muller Plaza on top of Muller Plaza.
But it's really a great experience.
Thank you for that.
It's interesting as a medical watcher. Thank you for bringing that up, because that is the point, is that the original concept was to be Beach Street. Thank you for not just closing it to close it, because my phone would be ringing.
So would my
phone.
And it would look bad,
But
like
he,
for it.
but
Yeah,
he does
I
have a point. So it'll be interesting, the 1st of August to hear the metrics again. Again, today I met one of our local business owners, and he said he's conversing with 5 or 6. He's at the farther end by Chestnut Street. He said his business is down considerably.
Yeah, that's an interesting, I know the exact business you're talking about. His manager, who's there all the time, tells me exactly. So, I don't know. I mean,
Again, I'm just basing off of having a conversation with City
see the metric. Again, I think everybody here wants this to be successful. We want the businesses to be successful. Nobody's not saying that, we just wanna make sure we're being good fiduciaries and citizens.
Sure. Absolutely.
I think we're all on the same page there.
Childcare programming at the project, original 15 grand was earmarked for that, right?
Yeah, so some of it came from the DO contract, and some of the funding for Fordu came from the Y used to put on the summer program for the city. They're no longer doing that. So basically, we put 16.5 into Fordu activating Miller Plaza, and then the remainder of the money was absorbed right back into the general fund, which is fine. But I think for me, I'm very critical, not of Kaler and not of the quality of the work that they're doing, but of the fact that, this did come from our recreation program. And as you said, where kids go, their parents will follow, but ultimately the recreation program is a drop-off program that allowed parents to work. And so this is fun and it looks nice, but it's not really in support of working families, which is really, really important to me. So I do look at it through a more critical lens as to whether or not I think it's a good investment. And it has nothing to do with Taylor Carpenter, who is someone that I've known for a very long time and is a great person, a very giving person. It has nothing to do with that.
I would say that Glenn hit it. The whole point of this, as I'm talking to artists and performers and anybody else that's invested from that point of view, that it's great that we have artists and performance visual artists and performing artists who are starting to look at the city as being kind of a playground. It's a great marketing tool. It's a great way to bring people into a vibrant city. It's a great way to give a city a personality that we've needed for a bit. And it's the kind of thing that can exponentially grow. However, even as I'm talking to them, I'm always hammering home the fact that this is about foot traffic. Every single thing that we do is about foot traffic and about driving people into the stores and the restaurants. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this, because it's about making certain that our businesses are successful. Anything else for Council? Oh, yes.
Yeah, one more thing. Could we have an update on OCI grant? I think I lost track of it because it was being administered by DO, but we no longer have a contract with DO. So is it being administered in-house, and how is it going? Maybe we don't have all of that tonight, but I've just been thinking about it, and I'm just hoping that whatever information can be shared, and then maybe if there's more in depth at another time, that's fine.
Yeah, the city's administering that now in-house. We have had several applications and things that have been funded, one of which is the thing that the mayor mentioned tomorrow, the big belly trash cans will have the digital art in them. That's an OCI grant that went to the high school class.
Oh, cool.
It's a high school visual art class at Cradle Art. I can't list them all off the top of my head. I think we can either schedule this for a finance and HR update as a program update or a council update.
I'm not on that committee, but that's fine.
We can bring it to the council as well, but that we can give a full update.
Okay, that would be great. Well, my question is, how come the high school needed to, maybe I'm answering my own question in my head. How come the high school needed to apply for an OCI grant in order to do fund public art on Main Street when the Public Arts Commission has a budget based on the grant, the DRI grant? Is it because it's like transient artwork, it's not like a permanent?
The Public Arts Commission, so the city's DRI public art funding, I believe, is all being spent on the mural at the Hills. So we have to them for basically what funds half of the mural's cost and we've got a grant for the other half.
Okay.
And this just was an application from the high school to do it yet.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
So just to be clear, we can add that to the discussion at the council meeting. Either way.
That'd be, yeah, that
Anything further? Yes.
I have one other thing. for Dave, because we discussed. I know, I want to get that, so I take you to pieces, there you go. Real quick, the sale in the Army that we were discussing to, sort of paperwork, how long does that take again to get that all back to the state?
It would take at least a year.
Okay.
What happens, okay? You have to get a special bill passed by both the Senate and the Assembly and then signed by the governor. Federal can only be introduced when the legislature's in session, legislature's not in session now. The earliest could be done, the application will be made in September, October of next year. The probability is, assuming that everything went according to normal, would be probably May or June next year before it can.
Thank you for the
If you need a special bill, I mean, maybe other ways around it.
So, I'm sorry, is that something that you've already spoken to over out there?
I know. It will be done before it could possibly submit.
Prove it? Okay, okay. Well, if there's nothing else.
No, I would like to make a motion for executive session contract to discuss contract.
Second? Second? Okay, and,
Well, I gotta invite people, the city administrator and, our fire chief, if he so wishes to stay.
Councilmember Leeang. Aye. Councilmember McKee.
Aye.